In the final video of our series about battles between animals from different epochs, we will be concentrating on the Cenozoic Era. This era began not too long ago and extends to the present day, which is why we will not be dedicating a separate issue to each of its periods. After the extinction of the dinosaurs, a vast number of intriguing events took place in the animal kingdom on Earth. Nevertheless, today we will delve into detail about only the most important confrontations that define this new chapter in the evolutionary arms race. By subscribing to the channel called Cryptovana, you'll have the opportunity to learn about the release of the upcoming video before many others do. Additionally, our viewers play a crucial role in the growth of our channel by giving likes and leaving comments. This not only supports us, but also helps introduce the channel to an increasing number of science enthusiasts from various countries. The Cenozoic era started right after the end of the dinosaur era. Up to now, it has been divided into three distinct periods: the Paleogenic, the Neogene, and the Anthropogenic. Various climatic and geological changes took place in each of these periods. During these times, a diverse range of animal and plant species emerged and vanished. Let's attempt to describe each of these events in sequence, though briefly, to cover all of them. The Paleogene period, from 66 to 23 million years ago, had three epochs: Paleocene, Oligocene, and Miocene. During this time, continents drifted apart, forming the Atlantic Ocean. By its end, Gondwana and Eurasia split, stopping species migration between them. Following that, for a considerable duration, the evolution of life in various regions of the planet proceeded independently. For nearly the whole time, the Earth's climate remained warm and humid. However, as the period drew to a close, a significant cooling trend started to emerge. It was clear in the circumpolar regions. Large ice amounts floated in the North Sea, and Antarctica was getting covered by thick ice. Polyogenies, green and thriving in moist areas, grew near the equator and tropical zones. They were also found in today's southern Urals, Kazakhstan, the Caucasus, and Central Europe. Meanwhile, tree ferns thrived with sandalwood trees, palms, and banana plants. Nearer to the circumpolar areas, trees typical of today's temperate zones, like oaks, myrtles, chestnuts, and cypresses, could be found. At the poles, coniferous broad-leaved deciduous forests were predominant. Following the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction, the early Cenozoic animal world lacked great diversity. New animals slowly occupied the empty ecological niches across all three inhabited domains: water, air, and land. By the conclusion of the Paleogeny period, the creatures that proved to be the most adaptable were birds and mammals. During this era, mammals had already begun to actively explore the vast seas and oceans. They were the initial species that evolved into sirens, whales, and dolphins. As we reached the middle of the Paleogene period, mammals that were mastering the aquatic environment made significant strides. The large-toothed whales, known as basilosaurs, became the dominant predators of the seas. Male Basilosaurus could grow to a length of up to 21 meters, while females could reach up to 18 meters in length. The elongation of their skeletons occurred due to an increase in the number of vertebrae. Meanwhile, Basilosaurs still possessed rudimentary hind limbs that could reach up to 60 centimeters in length. These limbs had not yet evolved into full flippers or fins. Additionally, unlike modern toothed whales, they were missing echolocation devices. The relatively small skulls of Basilosaurus simply didn't provide the necessary space for such features. Their competitors included extinction survivors such as sharks and other types of cartilaginous fish. The most well-known sharks that emerged during this period were Striotalamia and Suralamna paleohypatitis. Within the genus Striotalamia, there are 3 species of fossil sharks. These sharks did not exceed a length of 3.5 meters. All over the world, their fossilized teeth and vertebrae have been discovered. These cartilaginous fish inhabited waters that had low salinity. Scientists classify 3 and occasionally 4 genera of extinct mackerel sharks under the genus Suralamna. Their remains have been discovered in various regions, including Europe, Africa, Kazakhstan, and North America. The species Paleohypatitis, which translates to ancient small-toothed, was uncovered almost by accident. In a museum in the United States, there was a box containing teeth. These teeth were collected over a century ago from the state of Alabama. When paleontologist June Ebersol examined them, she immediately recognized that they belonged to a previously unidentified species of fossil sharks, and the age of these teeth was determined to be approximately 65 million years. Based on this information, scientists have proposed that these sharks were likely the main predators during the period when the ocean was being filled with new life following the end of the dinosaur era. Among amphibians, frogs, toads, and certain species of giant salamanders managed to survive the shallow Paleogene extinction event. In the early Paleogene, reptiles were represented by a limited number of lizards, snakes, turtles, and crocodiles. Land mammals were primarily found in forests and along the shores of bodies of water. At the very start of the Paleogene, they were quite small in size. By the middle of this period, they started to diversify into carnivores, trunked mammals, ungulates, primates, rodents, and other groups. Due to the division of the continents, different and unique creatures inhabited various parts of the Earth for extended periods. In Australia, marsupials have managed to survive up to today, while in South America, there were part-toothed mammals and the earliest primates. As the Paleogene period was drawing to a close, the enormous unguided brontotherians made their appearance. These creatures, resembling rhinoceroses, were herbivores that could grow up to an impressive 2.5 meters in height. Their primary habitat was in North America. Meanwhile, the Old World was inhabited by their relatives, known as Embolotherium. Eventually, these creatures were succeeded by what is referred to as the Undrickotherium fauna. The Undrickotherium stands out as the largest land mammals ever to exist in the history of the Earth. They grew to an impressive height of nearly 5 meters and had a weight of approximately 24 tons. Predators that could take on such massive creatures on land were almost non-existent. As a result, the most significant battles among land animals happened in the lighter weight classes. Interestingly, the storm of ungulates and grousers during this period was actually birds. However, these weren't flying birds that resembled ostriches. Instead, they were carnivorous beings. In regions like Europe, Asia, and later on in North America, this species was known as Gastornis. In Central and South America, these birds are known as phoracosaurs. Some species of these fascinating birds grew to be more than 2 meters in height. They were able to run fast enough to catch their prey and could stun or even kill their victim with just a single powerful blow. Among mammals, the most common predators were the representatives of the creodonts. The remains of these creatures have been discovered on every continent except for Australia and Antarctica. However, among modern animals, scientists have not discovered any descendants of the creodonts. This particular detachment comprises 2 distinct families, making up a total of 20 genera. It is believed that within their ecological niche, they played the role of dominant predators. The largest among them reached lengths of up to 2 meters, indicating they were quite primitive creatures. The initial researchers who described these animals were uncertain whether to classify them as placental or marsupial. Additionally, they were notable for their distinctive jaw structure, which set them apart. Scientists have proposed the idea that creodonts were unable to chew their food effectively. Their jaws functioned in a manner quite similar to that of modern crocodiles. They had the ability to bite their prey in half, yet they were incapable of nibbling on it. The Neogene period commenced a little over 23 million years ago and persisted for nearly 20 million years. Scientists categorize it into 2 distinct divisions, known as the Miocene and the Pliocene. Throughout this period, the American continents continued their movement, drifting further away from Eurasia. In the northeastern part of Africa, there were several significant rifts that eventually led to the creation of the Red Sea and the Arabian Peninsula. Meanwhile, South America, during its movement, collided with the Nazca tectonic plate, which resulted in the formation of the Andes Mountains. Additionally, during the Neogene period, the Himalayas, the Cordilleras, and the mountain ranges of Crimea, the Pyrenees, along with other regions, were formed. Overall, the climate on the planet remained relatively warm, but it continued to gradually shift towards becoming colder over time. Throughout the summer months, the ice present in the northern seas didn't have sufficient time to completely melt away. Consequently, the North Pole ended up being covered with a thick, multi-meter ice sheet. By the conclusion of this period, the climate had developed distinct continental characteristics, and by the end of the Neogene, there was another significant cooling event. These climatic transformations resulted in a gradual reduction in forested areas across all continents. In the northern latitudes, true winters were already prevalent, whereas in the equatorial belt, lush evergreen broadleaved forests continued to thrive. Coniferous trees are found spreading across both temperate and northern latitudes. However, in many areas, trees like chestnuts, sequoias, and other plants that prefer warmer climates took root and flourished. Toward the end of this period, another cooling event triggered the formation of tundra landscapes in both Europe and North America. Meanwhile, deserts and semi-deserts emerged in tropical regions. The vast grassy plains that appeared led to yet another phase of evolution for ungulates. During the first half of this period, the so-called Hipparion fauna representatives were the dominant species. Hipparions were the ancestors of today's horses. They were much smaller and had a different structure. These animals often fell prey to fearsome birds like Gastornis and Phararachus. During this time, ancestors of camels, deer, and giraffes also emerged. It was also when the first mammoths and saber-toothed cats appeared, marking the start of a major rivalry of the era. The main events of this rivalry occurred in the following anthropogenic period. However, the marine fauna of the Neogene features an impressive superpredator, the megalodon. This colossal shark, by various estimates, reached up to 15 meters in length and weighed between 35 and 47 tons. Accurately determining its size is quite challenging, as the megalodon, like all sharks, was a cartilaginous fish, leaving behind mainly jaws and a few vertebrae. To gather information on this shark's appearance and behavior, scientists proportionally scale up the modern white shark. The Quaternary period, also known as the anthropogenic period, is named for the emergence of modern humans during this time. However, the first hominids started to develop savannas and walk on two legs much earlier than this period. It was only relatively recently that humans were able to compete seriously with other living creatures. The anthropogenic period began just over 2.5 million years ago and continues to the present day. A significant portion of this period is made up of the Pleistocene epoch. The period came to an end just 11,000 years ago, giving way to the Holocene era. By the start of the Anthropocene, the continents had already settled into the positions we see today. During the Quaternary period, the creation of different mountain ranges and other geological features of the planet persisted. Because of the recurring progress and withdrawal of glaciers, the level of the global ocean varied by as much as 100 meters. These natural processes contributed to the formation of numerous northern islands and archipelagos. During the coldest periods of the Ice Age, a thick layer of ice and snow blanketed much of Europe, Siberia, and the North American continent. The current Ice Age is now experiencing another warming phase. Scientists estimate that this phase began approximately 10 to 15,000 years ago. The next global cooling is expected to start no later than in 1,000 years. These temperature fluctuations have significantly impacted changes in plant life. Alterations in the flora of the temperate and circumpolar regions have been especially significant due to ongoing temperature fluctuations. As the subsequent glacier receded from the south to the north, bands of taiga, steppe, and tundra vegetation emerged. Once again, the more heat-loving plants started to thrive in the more northern areas. Natural barriers, like mountain ranges, created unique islands of southern vegetation in certain parts of Europe, Asia, and North America. It is now clearly visible in some areas of the Mediterranean basin. In the seas, the ongoing battle for the title of top predators between sharks and cetaceans has persisted. More recently, basilosaurs have lost their dominance to giant sharks, such as the megalodon. During the Quaternary period, whales responded by evolving predators like the killer whales. These toothed whales are distinguished not only by their speed and strength, but also by their remarkable intelligence. They live socially. Ultimately, the skies were dominated by birds. Throughout our publications, we have frequently discussed the massive eagles and the forebears of today's condors. These formidable raptors, along with their descendants, present a significant threat not only to other avian species, but also to numerous terrestrial creatures, including rodents and smaller ungulates. Over this era, a diverse array of ungulates faced ongoing challenges in their efforts to withstand the growing numbers of these successful and formidable new predators. Terrible birds slowly became extinct due to the relentless competition from more advanced predators, specifically predatory mammals. Across all regions of the planet, various species of bears, wolves, and most notably cats emerged. These predators, including the well-known saber-toothed cats, were highly successful in hunting animals such as horses, bison, and deer. However, only in South America did birds and birds of prey manage to remain the dominant predators for a period of time. Meanwhile, the fauna of Australia and the islands in the Pacific Ocean evolved in their unique ways. In that region, snakes, piranhas, and even arthropods continue to pose the greatest threat to all living creatures. However, in other parts of the world, ungulates needed to develop horns and learn to run with great speed. Each of these animals faced their own specific adversaries among the carnivorous predators. Wolves began to hunt deer, while bears targeted wild boars and elk. Saber-toothed cats focused on hunting bison, woolly rhinos, and mammoths. Several tens of thousands of years ago, a new participant joined this natural arms race: humans. Their weapons were neither fangs nor horns, nor were they claws or hooves. Instead, humans were far more intelligent than the beasts. They acquired the ability to use tools and set traps, and to communicate effectively with one another. The Pleistocene fauna had no real chance against them. Enormous piles of bones from a vast array of animals are found around the settlements of ancient peoples. Their homes and clothing were crafted from animal skin, and they adorned themselves with jewelry made from teeth, claws, and feathers. Humans consumed nearly every living creature they could access. Alongside dramatic climatic changes, this situation has resulted in the extinction of a vast number of living creatures across the entire planet. People, in their struggle for a place under the sun, actively engaged in conflicts among themselves. Initially, the Cro-Magnons eliminated their primary competitors, the Neanderthals. They eventually started to separate into tribes and states, continuing their conflicts over resources and land. Nowadays, battles among various animal species persist across all continents. Lions, tigers, leopards, wolves, and bears pursue zebras, buffalo, antelope, and deer. Sharks and killer whales target fish, whales, and even each other. Eagles, condors, and owls prey on rodents, lizards, and snakes. However, all these skirmishes seem trivial compared to the overarching struggle between humanity and nature. Humans are not just harming animals, they are also actively damaging and altering the entire environment and world surrounding them. It seems quite unlikely that humanity will be able to successfully resist the immense global forces of nature, particularly in the form of the greenhouse effect and the eventual onset of another ice age. Without even realizing it, human activities only serve to accelerate these processes. Consequently, it is possible that mankind might inadvertently assist nature in the destruction of our civilization. Meanwhile, life on Earth, disregarding humans, will continue its perpetual struggle among different species of living beings for survival and dominance in the water, the air, and on the land. Soil. We sincerely thank all of our viewers who stay with us and watch our videos all the way to the end. If you're intrigued by this topic, we highly recommend checking out our earlier episodes that focus on the Permian period, as well as the age of dinosaurs. Additionally, on our channel, you'll find a variety of clips discussing the evolution of different living organisms across various periods in Earth's history. Furthermore, we have materials that delve into the development of humanity and explore the intricate relationship between humans and the natural world.